1-800-801-9691. 1-800-801-9691. That's 1-800-801-9691. 1-800-801-9691.
KKNT Phoenix and online at 960thepatriot.com, a division of Salem Communications, NASDAQ symbol SALM. We are the Patriot.
This is attorney William J. Wolf. Thanks for listening to Middle East Radio Forum. I hope you enjoy the show as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. My weekday job is a personal injury attorney. I have been in practice here in Phoenix since 1971 and invite you to call me if you have need for representation. Never a charge for the initial consultation. Call me at 602-279-1914. I look forward to helping you. Again, 602-279-1914.
Maryland Deli and Mini Mart on the northwest corner of 7th Street in Maryland is much more than just a great Shell station and mini mart. Great cooked-to-order food, different flavors of coffee and tea, beer and fine wine, including kosher wine, round out a wonderful one-stop shopping experience. A loyal sponsor of Middle East Radio Forum, check them out on the northwest corner of 7th Street in Maryland and Phoenix. That's Maryland Deli and Mini Mart, 602-277-6269. Dave Robles has now retired, so Ken Dussault is my new business and personal CPA. Located on 16th Street, just north of Glendale in Phoenix, I trust him with all my accounting needs. For personal or business accounting, call Ken Dussault, 602-944-4242. That's Ken Dussault, CPA, on 16th Street, just north of Glendale, 602-944-4242.
This is a paid program and is provided for informational purposes only.
Now on 960 The Patriot, it's the Middle East Radio Forum, your chance to talk about the turmoil in the Middle East. To call in live, dial anytime at 602-508-0960. That's 602-508-0960. Outside of the Valley, call toll-free at 888-960-9696. Questions are also welcome at radioforum@aol.com. That's radioforum@aol.com. Now your host for the Middle East Radio Forum, attorney William J. Wolf.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is William Wolf, host of Middle East Radio Forum. This program airs every Sunday, noon to 1 o'clock Arizona time. We've just gone the rest of the world. I don't know about the rest of the world, but the rest of the United States has gone on daylight time. So now it's also noon Pacific time. It's 3 p.m. Eastern time and is, I believe, still 9 o'clock p.m. in Israel. However, if you're in Israel and you've gone on daylight time or whenever you do, it'll be 10 o'clock in Israel. This program is available worldwide on the internet on my website, middleeastradioforum.org. So please do spread the word about this show. It is available everywhere on the internet. You can also listen to old shows in the program archives. I'd like to thank Evan Brom and Richard Belcastro for sitting in for me over the last 2 weeks. They did a great job. I appreciate the fact that it lets me get out of town on occasion. I have a special guest today. Devin Sper is going to be my guest, and as a special feature of today's program, we're going to be giving away copies of his terrific book. It's called The Future of Israel. We're going to give it away to anybody who calls in and does ask a good question. It's not automatic for any question. It's got to be a good question. However, as normal, we start off with Yoni Titi, often known as Yoni the Blogger, and I understand that there's a little bit of a difference in your blog. Yoni, how are you today?
I'm good, Bill. Yeah, it's yonitheblogger.wordpress.com. We were having technical issues with yonitheblogger.com. So again, yonitheblogger.wordpress.com.
Okay, Yoni, thank you. What do you have for us today?
Well, you ask how I am, and I'm not very good. And the reason I'm not very good is I'm pretty upset about the fallout around the election in Israel. We still don't have a new government in place. But as of Friday, Shas, the leading Haredi party, the Sephardic Haredi party, came out swinging, saying that if they're not in the government and the government is filled up with people that are full of hatred, they're going to start fighting back and they will boycott the enemies on the other side of the Green Line. And they're not talking about the Palestinians. The Green Line being the border that was pre-67 Israel versus Israel of today.
Yoni, are they going to boycott the free money they get from the government?
Well, see, that's the issue. One of the things, we focus on drafting of Haredi boys into the army. But one of the things that nobody focuses at is that if Shas is not in the next government, there's 132 religious councils in cities around Israel that provide services to those municipalities. Shas could lose between $150 to $260 million a year because of the way the government's going to be structured with them being on the outside. So we're not just talking about free money for their boys that study in schools. We're talking about a lot of money going into their coffers because they've been in government, and that's why they're so upset. My question is this. These Haredi Jews, and I'm an Orthodox Jew, I voted for Shas 3 times in my life because I thought they were providing a good service to their clientele, which meant food for kids that were hungry, Torah education along with secular education to kids. But when my son went to the Army, that was when this ended because it was the most stressful thing I ever went through. Their boys have to go to the Army. Let's get down and understand that the stress that's involved as being a parent with a child in the Army is huge. But Yitzhak Cohen of Shas, who's a deputy minister in the government that just went out, by the way, Shas boycotted the last cabinet meeting. He said, there's no such thing as a sacred settlement. There is such a thing as a holy yeshiva. Excuse me. This divide that they are seeking to foster right now, because we're demanding that they take a fair share in the burden of having the state of Israel. If they increase this divide will turn to hate. And in the end, this hate will divide Jew from Jew. And we know that twice Israel fell because of Jews hating fellow Jews. This is more dangerous potentially than Iran. It's more dangerous than the Palestinians. It's more dangerous than Arab Spring. Look, to the Haredi community, I reach out my hand and say, look, we don't hate you. We want everybody to pull their fair share. I want the top 10% of yeshiva students to study in yeshiva under a structured studying that will replace their Army duty. The rest of the boys have to go to the Army. Your girls need to go to community service. You need to engage and be part of the greater community of Israel. And you will respond, oh, but we are too holy to do that. And my response to that is, if your Torah is that weak that you can't come out among the rest of us and raise our spiritual level, then I feel sorry for you. And you will have no place in the future of Israel.
Okay, Yoni, thank you very much. Again, check out Yoni's blog. Give it one more time, please, Yoni.
Yoni the blogger, just like before, .wordpress.com.
All right, thank you, Yoni. I look forward to your being on the show again next week.
See you next week.
Okay. For the sake of time, I'm going to not do random thoughts today. I am going to introduce our guest today. He's been on the show before, Devin Sper. Good afternoon, Devin.
Good afternoon, Bill.
Let me give you a very brief introduction. You're the author of a terrific book called The Future of Israel. You've lived and studied in Israel for 10 years. You served in the Israel Defense Forces, and you now live in Arizona. And I will repeat, we're taking questions throughout the show, and for a good question, you're going to get a free copy of The Future of Israel. You'll just have to pick it up at my office, which is 1121 East Missouri, Suite 117, Phoenix, Arizona. So please, we're taking calls throughout the show. Now, what we'd like to talk about today is some of Obama's nominations, especially Chuck Hagel. Devin, during the nomination process, Hagel claimed that the Republicans distorted his positions on Israel. Is it possible they exaggerated and that he is not really that bad on the issue?
Well, the problem is that there were many prominent Democrats who were also opposed to the nomination. For example, Representative Elliot Engel, a Democrat from New York, said that with Hagel, quote, "It seems there's some kind of endemic hostility towards Israel, and that's troublesome for me and a lot of other people." The former chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, Susan Trimble, had called Hagel's views knee-jerk and worrisome. Alan Dershowitz, who's a lifelong Democrat, wrote an extensive article in the National Review on Hagel's positions, and I'll quote just a little piece of it. "Hagel's appointment would send another disturbing message to the bigots of Tehran, who believe that the only people calling for military action against Iran are the Jews. Hagel speaks their language. He's the only mainstream American politician to talk openly about how the, quote, Jewish lobby, unquote, intimidates a lot of people. Senator Hagel is the wrong man being considered for the wrong job at the wrong time. Back in January, before he died, the late Ed Koch, also a lifelong Democrat, and like Dershowitz, a strong supporter of President Obama, felt betrayed by President Obama's nomination of Hagel. He called it, quote, reneging on what he, that is Obama, conveyed on his support of Israel. It's very disappointing. I'm sure that the Arabs are drinking orange juice and toasting Hagel's good health. I believe it will encourage the Iranian program. I believe it will encourage the jihadists. They will say, we're winning the battle. America's beginning to desert Israel. Koch worried also that the Democrats were going to fold on this issue, as they did in the end. And he wrote, it'll be interesting to see how the two senators from New York work on this issue. I hope they'll join the Republicans, but I doubt it. And to me, this is a test for Chuck Schumer, where he stands and what he'll say.
Now, it's interesting, during the confirmation proceedings, Hagel was asked about who was intimidated. He couldn't name anything. He had to back down from those statements. So it's interesting what happens when he's finally confronted with his statements. He has absolutely nothing to back it up with. Devin, tell me, how did the 11 Jewish Democratic senators vote in the end?
Well, unfortunately, Ed Koch's worries were correct. And despite concern that many Democrats, as well as Republicans, had expressed over Hagel being out of the mainstream on positions on Israel, Iran, his lack of qualifications for the job, not one of the 11 Jewish Democrats in the Senate voted against Hagel. All of them toed the Democratic Party line and voted for the nomination, despite their previous problems with it. And I want to point out that this includes people like Chuck Schumer, Dianne Feinstein, Carl Levine, Barbara Boxer, who present themselves as great supporters of Israel.
Okay, Devin, I wanted to go over some of the criticisms of Hagel here, just so everybody's on the same page. Hagel has repeatedly insisted on weakening American defense capabilities. He has a long record of virulent Israel bashing. He voted against legislation to curb the Iranian threat and has made it clear that he will not stop Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. Hagel and Obama's other nominees will allow existential threats to America and our allies to go unchecked. His miserable record also includes gay bashing and employment discrimination, including opposing an appointment of an American diplomat because he was, quote, openly, aggressively gay. And to me, these charges are supported by the record, and these things are very significant. Devin, tell me, in your opinion, is Hagel anti-Israel?
Well, that's a very good question, and I'd answer it this way. I can't say whether Hagel's opposition to putting sanctions on Iran or in declaring Hezbollah a terrorist organization or in any of these other votes he's taken in the Senate are because he's anti-Israel or he just holds a very naive, far-left worldview, which is that the United States can withdraw unto itself and the world will go along as it was. But it doesn't matter for all practical purposes because the results are the same. The results are extremely detrimental to Israel's interests, and I would argue to the interests of the United States. So whatever his motive, the result is the same.
I'm going back to what I said earlier, that questioning about who has been intimidated by the so-called Jewish lobby. He was not able to come up with anything. And I think it's very instructive to see how he will just throw these bombs out with nothing behind them. And then when he's confronted, such as in the confirmation hearings, he has nothing to say. Go ahead, Devin.
Well, I want to point out that he uses the word Jewish lobby when there's actually no such thing as a Jewish lobby. There are liberal Jews, there are conservative Jews, there are Democrat Jews, there are Republican Jews. It would be proper to say the Israel lobby, or more correctly, AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. And there is such a thing as an Israeli lobby, as there is a Chinese lobby and a Saudi lobby and all kinds of lobbies. But there is no such thing as a Jewish lobby, and that sort of borders on anti-Semitism or at best complete insensitivity to the history of anti-Semitism.
Okay, Devin, we probably have to take a break during your answer to the next question, but let's get to this question. Congressional Republicans have said that Hagel is not competent to be the Secretary of Defense. Why is that?
Well, the argument was that Hagel has been a senator for a long time, but a senator is not an administrator the way a governor or even a mayor is. He's going to be asked to run what may be the biggest bureaucracy in the world in the Pentagon, and he has no experience. The fact that he was a soldier in Vietnam is not really relevant. I was a soldier in Israel doesn't qualify me to be defense minister of Israel. He has no experience in that regard, and his answers to the questions during the nomination process did not help his case. Even those who thought he might be qualified had doubts when they were done, because there has been no candidate for Secretary of Defense in the history of the United States who has done that poorly on a nomination hearing.
Okay, well, I guess you got the answer finished. We are coming up on the next break. You're listening to Middle East Radio Forum here on 960 The Patriot. My name is William Wolf. The show runs every Sunday, noon to 1 o'clock Arizona time, with the rest of the country going on daylight time. It's now also noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 9 p.m. in Israel until Israel goes on daylight time. Then it will be 10 o'clock in the evening in Israel. As always, I ask you to please help me bring the show to you. The best way to do that is by using the services of my advertisers. And please, each time you do, it's important to tell them you're doing so because they advertise on this program. Often it costs you nothing to support this program. Just shift where you're spending your money, whether it's a restaurant, a CPA, an investment advisor. I know each and every one of my advertisers personally. These are not large national companies. They're all local. I know them all, and I know they'll give you great services. So please shift your spending, if you would, please, to my advertisers. And each time it's important to tell them you're doing so because they advertise on this program. Always have pencil and paper handy. During the show, I will be giving you my office address later because you can send me a direct donation. But remember, you're going to get a free copy of Devin's terrific book, The Future of Israel, if you ask a good question on today's show. We'll be right back.
This is attorney William J. Wolf. Thanks for listening to Middle East Radio Forum. I hope you enjoy the show as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. My weekday job is a personal injury attorney. I've been in practice here in Phoenix since 1971 and invite you to call me if you have need for representation. Never a charge for the initial consultation. Call me at 602-279-1914. I look forward to helping you. Again, 602-279-1914. There are a lot of great Mexican restaurants in Phoenix, but I am very particular. When I want the best Mexican lunch or dinner, I head straight to Mi Patio on the southeast corner of 7th Avenue in Osborne. They serve all your favorite dishes and only use pure vegetable oil in their cooking. Mi Patio is sure to become your favorite Mexican restaurant, too. That's Mi Patio Mexican Restaurant on the southeast corner of 7th Avenue in Osborne. Tell them that William Wolf sent you there. This is William J. Wolf to thank Carmen Cercone of SII Investments, Inc. for being a loyal sponsor of Middle East Radio Forum. He is located at 8377 East Hartford Drive, Suite 110 in Scottsdale. Telephone 480-969-1717. Give him a call for a free financial analysis and see what his personal attention can do for you. He has been in business in the Phoenix area for more than 23 years. That's Carmen Cercone of SII Investments, Inc., 8377 East Hartford Drive, Suite 110 in Scottsdale. 480-969-1717. That's 480-969-1717. Securities and advisory services offered through SII Investments, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. SII does not provide tax or legal advice. Texas Grill is a unique taste of Texas on the northeast corner of 16th Street and Bethany Home here in Phoenix. At the same location for 27 years, now serving Sunday brunch with numerous awards for the best American food, affordable steak, and my favorite, chicken fried steak, served with mashed potatoes, vegetable, and a biscuit. Try it for yourself and you will be back for more. That's Texas Grill on the northeast corner of 16th Street and Bethany Home Road. Good ideas need protection. Weiss and Moy attorneys give a free initial consultation. Flat rate billing so you know the price before you approve their work. If you have an idea for a product, don't take chances. Get protection. I have known this firm for years and give them my highest recommendation. Also, great immigration legal services. That's the law firm of Weiss and Moy in Scottsdale. Call for an appointment, 480-994-8888. That's 480-994-8888.
You're listening to the Middle East Radio Forum on 960 The Patriot. To join in the conversation, call anytime at 602-508-0960. That's 602-508-0960. Outside of the Valley, call toll-free, 888-960-9696. Questions are also welcome at radioforum@aol.com. That's radioforum@aol.com. Now back to your host, Attorney William J. Wolf.
Welcome back to today's very interesting edition of Middle East Radio Forum. My name is William Wolf, your host every Sunday, noon to 1 o'clock Arizona time. Adjust your time if you're listening elsewhere on my website, middleeastradioforum.org. The show is available worldwide, so please do spread the word about this show. And I will repeat, a free copy of Devin's book, The Future of Israel, will be given to everybody who asks a good question. And we just did get a good question by email. And again, the email address, if you'd like to send a question that way, is radioforum@aol.com. This is from Tom in Scottsdale. He writes, Hagel, for many years, sat on the Armed Forces Committee. This would seem to indicate a knowledge of the Pentagon. Wouldn't proper staffing ensure the administrative responsibilities be fulfilled?
Being on a Senate committee is not the same as running a large bureaucracy, but let's give Hagel the benefit of the doubt. And let me also say that I hope, as an American, first of all, that Hagel will prove a competent Secretary of Defense, because God forbid, in times as dangerous as these, we have an incompetent as Secretary of Defense. That's not something we can afford. So I really hope that all the critics of Hagel were wrong and that he will turn out to be a great Secretary of Defense, and he will modify his positions on Israel, as many have when they've come into power, as Clinton did, as Obama has done, because they learn that Israel is not the problem and they understand that there's a deeper problem. But having said that, during the nomination process, we can't predict what will be, but we can only look at somebody's past. And there's nothing in his past to indicate either that he's competent to be Secretary of Defense or that his policies are mainstream policies. And if this is really Obama's view and this represents Obama's trend, it's a very dangerous development for the United States, first of all.
Okay, Devin, what are the potential consequences of Hagel's nomination to Secretary of Defense for Israel? And of course, he has been approved, so he is the Secretary of Defense.
Well, let me quote Senator Lindsey Graham, who's a Republican from South Carolina, who said that he predicted Hagel will be, quote, the most antagonistic Secretary of Defense towards the state of Israel in our nation's history. And I want to also quote Alan Dershowitz, who surmised that as a result of Hagel's nomination, and he was only talking about the nomination at this time, the Iranian mullahs will be confirmed in their belief that they're free to continue to develop nuclear weapons. So what Dershowitz was saying is that it doesn't matter whether he was confirmed or not. The very fact that Obama sought to nominate Hagel, the man in the Senate most identified with an anti-Israel policy and with a soft on Iran and terrorism policy, sends exactly the wrong message to the mullahs in Iran. And if you want to avoid war with the mullahs in Iran, you need somebody who projects strength. And if you want to invite war, then you have someone like Hagel who projects pacifism and non-intervention in all circumstances. Assuming the mullahs are at all rational, they have to take this as a signal that the United States is not going to interfere in their development of nuclear weapons. And if, God forbid, Dershowitz is right, and the Iranians develop a nuclear weapon as a result, the consequences for 6 million Jews in Israel are potentially catastrophic and irreversible. And I think that the Jewish senators who vote this way in order to make their party happy and against Israel's interest and their own Jewish conscience need to think about that in the future and need to weigh what really are the matters that they need to support and where their loyalty lies. And I think Jewish voters need to do the same thing in regard to those senators.
I don't think that Israel can survive with Iran having the atomic weapons, even if they don't use them, because how do you live under this threat when you know that these people are religiously motivated? They believe that they need to bring back the hidden imam, and the only way to do that is by destroying Israel. You wonder how Israel can even survive knowing that Iran has it, even if they don't use it. But let's go ahead and respond.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. That's very true, and I think that's a large part of Netanyahu's thinking, and he's said that you will have emigration, you will not have immigration, no one will invest in the country. In other words, it looks like a dead end, and you really can't live under this sword hanging over your neck.
Okay. We have a caller, Marty from Phoenix. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hello, thanks for taking my call. I just had a quick question. Yoni the blogger had mentioned about the Haredim in Israel and being at odds with the other
The
Jewish
Haredi.
people.
That's the ultra-Orthodox. Go ahead.
Okay. And is there any connection between them and the sons of Solomon, Jeroboam and Rehoboam, and when they were at odds with each other? Is there any connection to that? And isn't this a better time for the Israeli people to unite together instead of being at odds?
Well, obviously, I think it's always better to be united. I really don't know the other group that you're talking about. Devin, do you have any idea?
No idea, sorry.
Okay. Marty, appreciate the call, and we will give you a book. I don't really understand who the other group is, but I will respond that it's always better for Israel to be united. I mean, it's so small. You're talking about 6 million people, 7 million if you count the non-Jewish Israelis. And we can talk about the fact there is no apartheid in Israel, but that's a subject for a whole nother show. But I really think that united is very important because they live in such a bad neighborhood. Marty, thank you very much for calling. Okay, and Marty, by the way, just stop by my office, 1121 East Missouri. Have an ID with you showing your first name is Marty, and we'll give you that book. So anyway, Devin, let's go out another question. We're going to have to come up on a break shortly, but what should the Democratic Jewish senators do in a case like this where their Jewish conscience conflicts with the wishes of their party?
Well, look, the Democratic Jewish senators weren't asked to sacrifice their lives, and as our ancestors have done time and again, in order to be true to themselves. They were simply asked to vote their conscience. And there are senators like Chuck Schumer who call themselves defenders of Israel, or they will say things like Israel has the right to exist. But what does that statement mean if when you vote where you undermine their basis for existence, if you don't vote for a candidate that supports that right, in essence, the statement is meaningless. It actually is insulting to thousands of Israelis and millions of Jews who over the centuries sacrificed their lives defending that God-given basic human right. The right to exist is not something that someone imparts to Israel. It's a basic human right. Supporting Israel means that they're there for her when it matters, like in the Hagel nomination, and not simply talking about her right to exist or making statements like that don't have a price tag attached to them. Israel's survival requires that we delegitimize the erosion in her, that we prevent her delegitimization and the erosion of her security now before it's too late, and not cry about it later after it happens.
Okay, Devin, thank you very much. We've got a call from Joel. We got a call from Willie. We'll have to take those after this next break. You're listening to Middle East Radio Forum here on 960 The Patriot. My name is William Wolf. The show again every Sunday, noon to 1 o'clock Arizona time. With daylight time, it's now Pacific time, noon, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 9 p.m. in the Middle East until they go on daylight time. Then it'll be 10 o'clock. And again, please help me bring the show to you. As I've mentioned before, this is a brokered show, which means I have to buy the time from the station. I have to pay for it each and every week. The best way to support me is by using the services of the advertisers because they are also with me each and every week. However, direct donations are certainly welcome. You can send a check to me, William J. Wolf, at my office, 1121 East Missouri, Suite 117, Phoenix, Arizona. Again, 1121 East Missouri, Suite 117, Phoenix, Arizona. We're giving away a copy of Devin Sper's excellent book, It's the Future of Israel. For a good question, you'll have to pick it up at my office with an ID for your name. So please, again, call in with questions. Again, we have 2 questions. Joel and Willie will get to you after the break. You're listening to Middle East Radio Forum. Please spread the word about this show, available anywhere in the world on my website, middleeastradioforum.org. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Paradise Hills Dentistry now has a second office on Scottsdale Road and Shea Boulevard across the street from Denny's with a special offer for Middle East Radio Forum listeners. Dental exam, digital x-rays, and cleaning all for $39.95. That's a $200 savings. With state-of-the-art dental equipment, a radiation-free digital x-ray system, you need to check it out for yourself. For your appearance and general health, call Paradise Hills Dentistry at 602-482-2995. Located at 10636 North 32nd Street, Suite 103 in Phoenix, and their new office at Scottsdale Road and Shea. Call them now at 602-482-2995, and do not forget that special offer for Middle East Radio Forum listeners. Dental exam, digital x-rays, and cleaning all for $39.95, a $200 savings. That's Paradise Hills Dentistry, 602-482-2995. Maryland Deli and Mini Mart on the northwest corner of 7th Street in Maryland is much more than just a great Shell station and mini mart. Great cook-to-order food, different flavors of coffee and tea, beer and fine wine, including kosher wine, round out a wonderful one-stop shopping experience. A loyal sponsor of Middle East Radio Forum, check them out on the northwest corner of 7th Street in Maryland and Phoenix. That's Maryland Deli and Mini Mart, 602-277-6269. Thai Rama at the southeast corner of 13th Avenue and Camelback in Phoenix is my favorite Thai restaurant. Seasoned to your preferred level of spice, from mild to very spicy, you simply cannot get better Thai cuisine. Try it for yourself, whether you are already a lover of Thai food or want to try the best the first time. Mention Middle East Radio Forum for a free coconut ice cream after your meal. That's Thai Rama Restaurant on the southeast corner of 13th Avenue and Camelback in Phoenix.
This is attorney William J. Wolf. Thanks for listening to Middle East Radio Forum. I hope you enjoy the show as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. My weekday job is a personal injury attorney. I've been in practice here in Phoenix since 1971 and invite you to call me if you have need for representation. Never a charge for the initial consultation. Call me at 602-279-1914. I look forward to helping you. Again, 602-279-1914.
Dr. Steve Carroll's newest book is From Jerusalem to the Line of Judah and Beyond, Israel's Foreign Policy in East Africa. In the last half of the 20th century, Israel's foreign policy toward East Africa has exemplified these immortal words in the book of Isaiah 49:6. Israel will be a light to the nations, that my salvation may be unto the end of the earth. This book tells that story. Order a copy from Dr. Carroll, Radio Forum at AOL.com.
You're listening to the Middle East Radio Forum on 960 The Patriot. To join in the conversation, call anytime at 602-508-0960. That's 602-508-0960. Outside of the Valley, call toll-free 888-960-9696. Questions are also welcome at radioforum at AOL.com. That's radioforum at AOL.com. Now back to your host, Attorney William J. Wolf.
Welcome back to today's very interesting edition of Middle East Radio Forum. My name is William Wolf. My guest is author Devin Sper. And again, we're giving away a copy of his excellent book, The Future of Israel, to everybody who calls in and asks an excellent question. Okay, let's first go to Willie from Phoenix. Willie, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi, Devin. My question is this. Won't it be possible for Iran to buy atomic weapons with all their oil money from countries such as North Korea, China, Pakistan, Russia, anywhere where there are unstable governments, and be able to acquire nuclear weapons in that way?
Well, I think that's a very good question. There have been indications that the Iranians have been trying to buy a nuclear weapon from the former Soviet Union. As far as we no, they haven't succeeded. The United States keeps tabs based on treaties on all Soviet nuclear weapons. Obviously, the North Koreans are starving, and they might well sell a nuclear weapon to Iran. That's a very big problem and can't be discounted at all.
Okay, thanks for that call, Willie. Again, come by my office, 1121 East Missouri, Suite 117 with your ID, and you can have a free copy of Devin's book. Let's quickly go to Joel calling from Phoenix. Joel, you're on the air.
Yeah, one thing that's disturbing to me is what's going on with the Haredim, the religious Jews in Israel. Right now, the Sunnis and the Shiites are killing each other left and right. Could the Haredim get so fanatical that they might go after the IDF like the Irgun used to go after the British? Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Devin.
Not likely. There is a history in Israel, as we heard at the beginning of the program, that the first and second temple fell because of splits among the Jews. And as a result, the Jews have been very hesitant because of our history not to violently attack each other. And there have been incidents of that, but considering Jewish history and our sufferings, there's been very little of that since the fall of the Second Temple. We learn from our mistakes in that regard. So the Jews argue a lot, and the Jews will always be very fractious, but Jews committing violence against other Jews is very rare, and it would not be in character of either the Haredim or their opponents in Israel.
Well, the very religious, they will take to heart the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not murder, and that would be murder. So I would think that is alone is repression of any violence against other Jews. All right, let's go to Lauren calling from Phoenix. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Thank you, Devin. My question has to do with your comment about a nuclear Iran. I've heard that Israel has moved its Iron Dome from southern Israel to northern Israel because there's a rumor that Hezbollah has acquired some type of nuclear weapon. My question is, are you aware of anything of this nature? And if it's the case, what would Israel do in this respect?
All right, Lauren, good question. You get your book. Go ahead, Devin.
Yes, I've heard the same thing as far as Israel moving Iron Dome to the north because of Hezbollah. I've not heard it in any way connected, however, to a nuclear weapon. Where did you hear that about it?
I have an Israeli friend who I believe got information from somebody in Israel.
Well, they have moved Iron Dome batteries to the north because there's a very real possibility due to the chaos in Syria that Hezbollah will start a war with Israel at the Iranians' bidding. And you need the Iron Dome because they have conventional missiles, as they used in the last war. But there is no indication that they have a nuclear weapon, and unless Iran gets one, they're not likely to have one. However, I want to add to that, if Iran does get a nuclear weapon, they're very likely to have one very quickly.
All right, thanks for that call, Lauren. We have a full board of calls, so I'm hoping to get to everybody. Let's quickly go to Murray from Scottsdale.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
The question I have is, why does Netanyahu persist in saying that all options are open when it's obvious that he can't really negotiate with people who refuse to recognize Israel as a Jewish state and are intent in destroying Israel?
All right, Murray, that is a good question. You got a book. Devin, you got 1 minute?
Murray, I could not agree with you more strongly. I think that sort of diplomatic language may serve a purpose when you're trying to ease tensions, but when you're trying to deter aggression, that sort of diplomatic gobbledygook, to be blunt, only confuses an aggressive enemy and leaves room for doubt. You're absolutely right. The proper course would be for Israel to state the case clearly, or better yet, not state the case, do what Israel used to do, and talk softly and carry a big stick.
All right, thanks for that question. As we've said many times on Middle East Radio Forum here, there never has been, there never will be a peace process, because you cannot have a peace process with people who only want you dead. It's just, you just can't do it. All right, we're coming up with the next break. Get your calls and we'll try to get everybody. You're listening to Middle East Radio Forum here on 960 The Patriot. My name is William Wolf, your host every Sunday noon to 1 o'clock Arizona time. Please spread the word about this show. It is available everywhere in the world on my website, MiddleEastRadioForum.org. You can also listen to old shows in the program archives. And again, I ask you this multiple times every week because it's so important. I need your help. I need your help to finance this show. The best way to do that is just by shifting your spending dollars from someone who does not advertise to somebody who does. They'll give you great services, and tell them you're doing so because they advertise on Middle East Radio Forum. I have to pay for the show each and every week. We're now in the 10th year of broadcast. I'd like to continue to do so, but it is a financial burden unless I get your help. The advertisers are with me each and every week, so please help me by using their services and telling them why you're doing so. Please stay with us. We'll be right back for today's final segment with historian Devin Sper. Stop by King Solomon Kosher Pizza and much more. The west side of 7th Street, just south of Camelback. Call today, 602-870-8655, or visit them at www.kingsolomonpizza.com to view the entire kosher and vegetarian menu. That's King Solomon Pizza, the wise choice for pizza by the book. On the west side of 7th Street, just south of Camelback. Siegel's Kosher Restaurant and Marketplace is your Passover headquarters. Serving Phoenix and Arizona for decades, they have what you need for all holidays. Kosher meat, wine, and grocery items. See them first for all your holiday shopping. Located on the west side of 7th Street, just south of Camelback, or call them at 602-285-1515. That's Siegel's Kosher Restaurant and Market, 7th Street, just south of Camelback, 602-285-1515. Dr. Arthur Taylor has offices all over the Phoenix area, ready to meet your medical and injury needs. Prompt appointments so you can get treatment right away at a reasonable fee. On many accident cases, they will wait to be paid. Get your medical care when and where you need it. Call 480-285-1721 for an appointment in Phoenix, Tempe, Mesa, or Glendale. Again, Dr. Taylor, 480-285-1721. This is attorney William J. Wolf. Thanks for listening to Middle East Radio Forum. I hope you enjoy the show as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. My weekday job is a personal injury attorney. I've been in practice here in Phoenix since 1971 and invite you to call me if you have need for representation. Never a charge for the initial consultation. Call me at 602-279-1914. I look forward to helping you. Again, 602-279-1914. Cherry Blossom Noodle Cafe is no longer a secret. On the northwest corner of 10th Street and Camelback, the best restaurant for great sushi, Asian noodle and rice dishes, salads, and even great pasta. Make Cherry Blossom Noodle Cafe your place for a great Asian or pasta lunch or dinner. On the northwest corner of 10th Street and Camelback, or call them at 602-248-9090. That's 602-248-9090. My only jeweler, Schmidt Jewelers, 529 East Glendale in Phoenix, is celebrating 40 years in business. State-of-the-art custom design with all their work performed on premises. Many feature designers and their own award-winning designs. Expert jewelry and watch repair. Member of the exclusive American Gem Society and finalist for the Better Business Bureau Business Ethics Award. Schmidt Jewelers, 539 East Glendale in Phoenix, 602-279-1300.
You're listening to the Middle East Radio Forum on 960 The Patriot. To join in the conversation, call anytime at 602-508-0960. That's 602-508-0960. Outside of the Valley, call toll-free 888-960-9696. Questions are also welcome at radioforum@aol.com. That's radioforum@aol.com. Now back to your host, attorney William J. Wolf.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's very interesting edition of Middle East Radio Forum. This is with the book giveaway for a good question. That'll be the book written by my guest here, Devin Sper. The book is The Future of Israel. And Devin, before I take the next question, we have four of them waiting right now. You have a comment on Willie's question?
Yeah, just one quick comment on in addition on my answer about Willie's question regarding the Iranians trying to buy nuclear weapons. That's another example of how dangerous a world we live in. And another reason why somebody like Hagel is a problem as Secretary of Defense.
Okay, thanks, Devin. Let's go in order of the calls. Eric in Tempe, please be brief.
I read that Muslim Brotherhood has influence in the White House, and this man that's going to be nominated for CIA has some questionable views, and I think he would be more dangerous than Hagel. Do you know anything about him?
Yes, we do. And you're talking about John Brennan here?
Yes.
Okay, let me just give you a brief rundown on John Brennan. His record is very alarming. He praised Hezbollah. He praised, quote, our Saudi partners, close quote, for their conservatorship of the, quote, holy mosques at Mecca and Medina, and said that Al-Quds, remember that, Al-Quds was his favorite city during a speech at New York University in February of 2010. And, of course, Hezbollah is a terrorist organization which demands Israel's extinction. Saudi Arabia is notorious for restricting religious freedom and discriminating against non-Muslims. And Al-Quds is the name for Jerusalem,
I understand.
used by those who want to demolish Israel. Okay, Devin, do you have anything further to add to that?
I would just say this, that the combination of Hagel's nomination, Brennan's nomination, and Kerry's nomination taken as a whole indicates something greater than just Hagel's nomination. It indicates that Obama is seeking to pursue in his second term a very pacifist, hands-off-the-world foreign policy, even more so than in his first term, and that this is a very dangerous world that requires American leadership because the alternative is worse.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric, and I have ID when you come to my office, 1121 East Missouri, Suite 117 in Phoenix. Okay, let's quickly go to Alan from Phoenix.
Okay. Now, you mentioned just in that last answer that Obama second term is pacifist. I have seen 2016, the movie, and I really don't you really see a bigger role of Obama in altering the whole world, not just Israel? And Hagel's and the other Brennan and the others are just a symptom of that?
All right, excellent question, Alan. You get your book. Go ahead, Devin.
Well, yes, that's exactly the point I was just trying to make, that the fact that he nominated these people is merely a symptom or a indicator of his views and where he's headed. And where he's headed, pacifism is an exaggeration. Hagel was a soldier, a decorated soldier. He's not a pacifist. But basically, they are against the use of force in all circumstances. And in that case, when you're faced with irrational actors like Iran seeking a nuclear weapon, you've got a big problem. If you can't deter them, then you're going to face them as a nuclear power.
Okay, thank you, Alan. And just because we're going to run short on time, I want to talk a little about John Kerry. He's just as bad as the other two. He's among a very tiny minority of senators who refused to sign letters and or voted against legislation to impose sanctions on Iran in 2010. He refused to insist that the Palestinians engage in direct face-to-face negotiations with Israel without preconditions by either side in 2010. He also refused to include Hezbollah in a terrorist report 2003. He refused to urge President Obama to reiterate readiness to use military force if all other measures fail to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons capability. This was in December of 2012. He refused to support Israel's right of self-defense in 2012, and he refused to urge the European Union to name Hezbollah as a terrorist organization. That's in September of 2012. Kerry also advocated and influenced Obama to support Mubarak's ouster, a disgraceful policy which resulted in the dangerous Morsi radical Islamic regime in Egypt. Kerry also advocated renewed diplomatic ties with Assad's Syria, despite Syria's complicity in transporting IEDs to kill American soldiers in Iraq and Syrian complicity in the murder of Lebanese Prime Minister Hariri. Kerry also condemned the Israeli security barrier. The Israeli security barrier was needed to stop the Intifada, in which Palestinian terrorists murdered and wounded thousands of Israelis. So that gives you a brief rundown on John Kerry. Let's quickly go to the other callers. Larry from Fountain Hills, you're on the air.
Hi. Very quickly, I was just wondering, Devin, if you could tell me what the impact is of United States security forces currently on the ground in Israel, what the impact of that is on the politics there in the Middle East.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, there are no U.S. security forces on the ground in Israel.
Well, I actually am aware that U.S. forces are there ostensibly to protect some of the anti-missile systems that are currently being employed.
Well, I'm not aware of that either.
Well, he may mean they're training on the missile systems, but if they have some trainees, that's not the same as a U.S. military presence, which implies that there are American ground forces there ready to fight Israel's battles. That's not the case.
Well,
Larry, let me check it out and give us a call next Sunday when Dr. Steve Carroll's here. I'm sure Dr. Carroll will be able to answer your question.
Are you referring to joint maneuvers between the Israelis and the United States?
Well, I'm referring to actually United States military, and I won't be too specific because I might be compromising information, that are protecting the, Patriot anti-missile systems that are being employed there.
I think that's outdated information. In the previous war, not the recent one.
Within the last 6 months.
All right, Larry. There's no point. We can't.
Wait. Let me just say, you're referring to Turkey, I believe, where the United States has put in Patriot missile batteries. The Israelis have developed their own Iron Dome system, which is in fact far superior to the Patriot, and the United States is now asking Israel for technology sharing so that they can get the Patriot, the Iron Dome. Israelis have no need of the Patriot system anymore.
Okay, Larry, like I said, please call in next week when Dr. Carroll's on the show. We'll be able to more fully answer your question. Thanks very much. And again, come to my office for your copy of the book. Let's quickly go to Jeff in Sun City. Jeff, you're on the air.
Yes, I just wanted to compliment Devin and you, Bill, for stating that it President Obama, who is solely responsible for gathering his Islamophilic dream team. And with regards to the senators who either stayed silent or voted for Hagel and Brennan, they are modern-day capos and feckless hypocrites. Do you both agree that the main problem that we are experiencing is the fact that too many, if not most, American Jews are uninvolved, aloof, and just don't care? Thank you.
Okay, Devin, go ahead.
Look, I very much agree with you, Jeff, and let me just support what you said. Can anyone imagine the Congressional Black Caucus voting for a nominee opposed to civil rights, no matter who appointed him or what his position was on other issues? Obviously, that's never going to happen. So if elected Jewish officials, like the 11 Jewish senators, and let me just say that the vote was closer than that. So the 11 Jewish senators had it in their power to defeat Hagel's nomination. And if they won't do that, and if Jewish voters won't hold them account for not doing that, then in the words of Hillel, if I'm not for myself, who will be? And if not now, when? If Jewish politicians won't consider Israel's interest, why should non-Jewish politicians consider it?
Okay. Jeff, thanks very much for the call. Come to my office for your book. Devin, Sam from Brooklyn writes in an excellent question. Why should the interests of Israel be even considered regarding the nomination of Hagel, Kerry, and Brennan?
I think that in this regard, the interests of Israel and the interests of the United States are one and the same. Both Israel and the United States have an interest in a competent Secretary of State because the world is a dangerous place. Both Israel and the United States have an interest in not seeing Iran go nuclear and handing off nuclear weapons to its terrorist proxies. And both Israel and the United States have an interest in Israel being the only stable regime in the area which you can rely on. We've seen what happened in Libya. We've seen what happened in Egypt, which we thought was a stable ally. We've seen what's happened in Syria today, where they've murdered 80,000 of their own people. These are not regimes that anyone can ally themselves with or rely on because they don't care about the lives of their own people, much less of ours. So you have only one ally in that area that shares our interests and that is reliable, and it's in our interest to support them.
Okay, Devin, what lessons should pro-Israel voters draw from Hagel's nomination? And you can throw also Kerry and Brennan into that question. What lessons should pro-Israel voters draw from Hagel, Brennan, and Kerry's nomination? And now, of course, they've been approved.
Well, the lesson is that because a senator is Jewish doesn't mean he's really pro-Israel. Because a senator claims, like Chuck Schumer, that he's pro-Israel, that doesn't make him pro-Israel. And if we're concerned, if I'm talking now to voters who are concerned with Israel, what makes a senator pro-Israel is that he will, at the minimum, vote the Israeli interest certainly when it's also aligned with U.S. interests, as it is so clearly in this case. What's so disturbing to me about the Hagel nomination, because there have been many, many examples in the past where Jewish members of Congress did not vote in the Jewish or the Israeli interest. But the results and the consequences were never so grave, and the choice was never this clear-cut. Here you have a nominee who, as I said to a previous question, we hope will turn out to be something other than what he appears to be. We hope he'll learn on the job, but there's nothing to indicate that, and no reason for a pro-Israeli senator to have voted for him. Many of them themselves mentioned all kinds of problems they had with Hagel, and yet voted for him. And that tells us that their real interests are liberalism and not Judaism, that their real loyalty is to the Democratic Party and not to the American people or the Jewish people. And I think that should give Jewish voters and any voter who is supportive of Israel pause before reflexively voting for such people. For example, I personally will vote for a senator like McCain or Lindsey Graham or John Kyle or any other strongly conservative supporter of Israel in the Senate before I will vote for a Jewish senator like Chuck Schumer or Dianne Feinstein or Barbara Boxer, who, while they claim in front of Jewish audiences to gain their vote, are pro-Israel, are not showing that when it matters.
Okay, thanks for that excellent response there, Devin. We have an email from Stan in Amarillo, Texas. Please comment on the confirmation of John Brennan, former U.S. ambassador to Saudi Arabia, as Director of Central Intelligence, and the story has gone viral that he converted to Islam. What does that mean to U.S. intelligence activities worldwide in general and in the Middle East in particular? Follow up, please comment on the 6 American Islamist operatives who worked for the Obama administration and our Muslim Brotherhood operatives. That's a mouthful, but go ahead, Devin. I can give you about 2 minutes on that.
Well, I don't think it'll take 2 minutes because I have to discount things that go viral on the internet. That doesn't mean it's so. Now, I must say, based on your comments before, Bill, that he calls Jerusalem El Quds. I mean, nobody in the United States, no Christian or Jew, refers to Jerusalem as El Quds. Jerusalem is the way it's known in the Judeo-Christian world. But that doesn't make him a Muslim, and that doesn't mean he is a Muslim, and that doesn't mean he's a secret jihadist, even if he is a Muslim. So I would have to know the basis for those stories, and I would have to know what support there is behind them, and I would not jump to the conclusion that because there's something viral on the internet, it's necessarily true.
Okay, Dr. Carroll will be the guest next week. Devin, why don't you call in and maybe we can clear that up, give you a week to look into it. Another caller, Miriam from Phoenix. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yes. Do you see the connection between all these appointees that the president has just made, a connection toward his feeling and tendency toward Islam in general?
Okay, excellent question. You got a book for that? Go ahead, Devin. I can give you only a minute, though.
To be honest, no. I'm not one of those people who think that Barack Obama is a secret Muslim or certainly not a secret jihadist. Again, I don't. You have to have hard evidence before you make such a claim. I know he was born a Muslim and all that, but I say the same thing I said regarding Hagel. It doesn't matter because his policies come to the same thing. If his policies encourage jihad by showing weakness, if his policies encourage the Iranians to get a nuclear weapon because he's going to do nothing about it, it doesn't really matter what his secret desires are. I don't see evidence that he's a secret enemy of Israel or jihadist. I just think he's fundamentally wrong and misguided on his policies, and that these policies are detrimental to Israel and to the United States.
Okay, thanks for that question. We have another email question from Shamos in Surprise, Arizona. Should we ensure that the whole area of the Middle East and non-Russian Central Asia be nuclear free? And you got 30 seconds, I'm sorry.
No. I want to differentiate between responsible regimes and not responsible regimes. The United States has nuclear weapons. England has nuclear weapons. France has nuclear weapons. Even the Soviet Union had nuclear weapons. But those are rational actors, as is Israel, as is India. And then there are people who advocate jihad and world conquest and have shown no compunction in mass murder of civilians, and I want to keep nuclear weapons out of the hands of those people. That's like saying, do I see a parallel between a policeman having a gun and a criminal carrying a gun? No, I don't.
Okay, great presentation, Devin. That's Devin Sper, author of The Future of Israel. If you're getting a book, just come with ID to my office, 1121 East Missouri, Suite 117 in the back. In Phoenix, and you'll get your copy. Next Sunday, Dr. Steve Carroll, the official historian of Middle East Radio Forum, returns to be the guest. He's going to talk about his Dateline Middle East news analysis and commentary. Dr. Carroll is the most frequent guest on Middle East Radio Forum. Always a terrific presentation. Please spread the word about this show. Thanks for calling in today, and look forward to being with you again next week. Bye for now.